Yeah, there we go. Hello, this is Ever New with Kris M. Smith and co-host Hannah McCrane tonight. And Ever New is about living out loud, forging lasting connections, and visiting with effervescent thinkers and dreamers. It's an uplifting hour, at least, that promises to leave everyone feeling better. So who's up for some fun? Welcome. Let's get this party started. Hi, Hannah.
Hey, Kris, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. We don't have any viewers at the moment, so we'll just wait for people to come on. If you are watching and being shy, please let us know who you are, where you're from, what your weather is like. Roger can't be here tonight because he's a county disaster recovery worker professional, and they're having a huge COVID outbreak right down in Southern California where he is. He said he's going to try very hard to reach us by the end of the hour, but at the moment he's elbow deep in helping people. So
it's a shame.
Our test is going to be just not a test. We're just going to be doing this and carrying on, doing whatever we can. So please let us know who you are, where you're from, and who's joining us. In the meanwhile, I wanted to mention the passing of Betty White, because I haven't been on the planet when Betty White wasn't on the planet. Even when I was a tiny kid, she was on game shows. I saw her in dramas. I saw her in comedies. She was just always been a part of entertainment to me. And the other thing was I had an opportunity to meet her when I was working in Hollywood. I went to an Actors and Others for Animals benefit, and she was there along with Earl Holliman and Ed Asner and Linda Lavin and Cindy Williams and one of the Waltons, one of the Walton boys, Jason Walmsley, who was and may still be a musician. And I got to spend a few minutes with her because we were both animal lovers, and she was just a light in the world. I mean, when people pass away, you just never expect to be without Betty White. Even though she was almost 100 years old, you just never expect. And fortunately, we won't ever be without her because, the body of her work is so enormous that we will always have her. But it just felt like a little bit of the light went out of the world. Same way when Steve Irwin passed away, or when Robin Williams, any of these people that just kind of effervescent people just light up the world, and then when they're gone, you're going, oh my gosh, it isn't the same anymore. We have a couple of viewers from my Facebook page and from NDB Media. I think the one on my Facebook page is Edward, and Edward Smith I've known him for 45 years. Edward, you should come on to us at this link, and then you can interact with us. I'm going to go there for just a second. Hannah, do you want to take it over and just, introduce yourself or anything like that while I go over and talk with Edward for a second?
Cool. Hey, to all you watching out there, my name's Hannah McCrane. I'm a friend of Kris. I'm in New Jersey, so we're very, very far away. Kris and I met after I had read one of his books about DeForest Kelley, and we kind of just started talking on Facebook and eventually had a couple, what's it called? The video chats, and we just enjoy each other's company. Oh, I'm getting an echo on my end.
There we go. I'm back again. I think the echo will go bye-bye.
Okay.
It wasn't terribly distracting.
Cool.
So, all right. Now I think Edward is about to join us as a visitor, not as a co-host, but he's finding his way here. And I don't know who it is on the NDB Media. It might be Roger, but I hope whoever it is will let me know. And let me know who you are, where you hail from. I know Edward has a story about meeting Betty White when he gets on here. He had a lion when I had a serval. So I met him like some 45 years ago in 1977, and we've stayed in touch ever since. He was supposed to come to our Christmas party on our belated Christmas party on Tuesday, but he was still iced and snowed in. So we went and saw him yesterday and gave him his presents, and spent about 3 hours with him, had lunch, Lisa and I. So that was fun. We have a comment coming in. Let me take a look and see what we got. Gino! Hi, Kris and Hannah. Hi, Jano. Come on.
Hi, Jano.
Do you have any reminiscences, Jano, about Betty White, or actually anything, any joy to bring, anything like that? Roger, as I explained earlier, is doing disaster recovery type stuff with down in LA because of the COVID outbreak down there. Hi, Jano. So that's what's going on there. I don't know who is with NDB Media, but they haven't identified themselves anyhow. This is a test. Roger was hasn't been able to help the last couple of weeks, and he was the trainer, but we are doing okay. And I'll tell you a little bit about whatever new is going to be like when it actually debuts on January 15th. It's going to be every other Saturday starting January 15th, starting at 10:30 in the morning. It will go at least an hour, and if there's a lot of involvement, it may go longer. We'll just see. If we're having a really good time, we'll stay on as long as we want. But it's going to be at least 3 segments. They might be 5-minute segments. They might be 8-minute segments. They might be half-hour segments, depending on how much interest there is on these various topics. But one of them is called Joyride, and that's basically people calling in or commenting in to let me know of something uplifting that happened to them that week, that month, or just any time in their lives. Because right now, with lockdowns and all of this stuff going on, we need some active participation in helping people keep their spirits lifted. And that's really what I want Evernew to help do, at least throughout this pandemic time. So that'll be Joyride. There will be a segment called probably Delights, something like that, because an awful lot of people will come here as a result of having read my books about DeForest Kelley. They may have follow-up questions to ask. You might trip some synapses and remind me of something I didn't put in one of my many books about him. You just never know. I think I've covered everything, but unless somebody asks a question, I never know for sure if I have. And then the other segment, semi-segment, is going to be Ask Me Anything Within Reason. So those are the 3 segments. But again, we have talked about lahars and volcanoes and Mount St. Helens eruption. We have talked about trains. We have talked during these tests. We have just had a wee of a time discovering that we have other things in common other than DeForest Kelley, being fans of DeForest Kelley. So Hannah and I found out we're both Jack Benny fans and stuff like that. You get to know people better the longer you are with them. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to look and see we still have one person. We have 2 people on NDB Media now, 2 different stations of Facebook and another one. So please identify who you are and where you are and why you're here. I want to find out more about you. I've talked to several people who said they were going to join us tonight, so they might just be a little bit late. One is Amy Hewlin. She's a teacher from Tumwater. She's about ready to retire at the end of this school year. And hopefully we will get her in occasionally as a co-host, depending on what her schedule looks like. Because once you retire, you sometimes get busier than you were when you were working, at least for a while. So we will be looking to that. Mark Poland, I'm not sure how to say his name, Poulan, was going to be checking in from Idaho. I only know him as a Facebook fan. I've not met him, which is why I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Brian Burns, who I took this morning. This morning, Brian Burns and I were at the fairgrounds at Dark 30 to get COVID tests so that Brian can go back to work. Hey, there's Eric's from the last test. Cookie Sword. Hi.
Yes, Cookie Sword.
Cookie Sword. Yay, yay, yay. We've been talking before you got here about little reminiscences of Betty White and her love for animals. So if you have any reminiscences like that, we would love to hear it. Casey Shapiro is here from Facebook. Casey, if you're on my Facebook page, you might be on the NDB Facebook page. I'm not sure. But I'm going to put up a little banner here And if you will come in through that way, if you aren't already, you'll be able to actually interact with us and leave comments that we will see live. If you're on the Facebook page, we won't necessarily see anything live, and I might not be able to get to you in time to answer questions if you're watching from Facebook. So I really, really encourage you to go to this URL if you're able to do that. So welcome, everybody. This is fabulous. Okay. Casey is on NDB's page. So that means you can interact. You can send us, obviously you can send us comments. Duh, you just did. So where are you from, Casey? And how did you find out about us? Have you been on any of the earlier tests for us? Roger can't come tonight. He's doing disaster recovery down in his neck of the woods for COVID. There's a huge COVID outbreak down there, and that's what he's doing. He said he's going to try to get here by the end of the hour, but no guarantees. So do you hear wind chimes?
I do.
It's windy outside, and I have my window open a little bit.
Yeah, we were talking about the weather, for a bit last time. Yeah, everyone's weather. I had said that we weren't getting snow. Well, we're actually getting snow tonight.
All right.
So we had some snow earlier this week,
Uh-huh. So is it going to stick?
Yeah. Kids around here, they had a snow day on Monday, and we got a call from my sister's school today saying that there's a snow day tomorrow.
Cleellum, where I grew up, which is on the other side, it's called supposedly the dry side, on the other side of the Cascades, they have like 4 or 5 feet. They can't even see their cars right now. So the passes are all closed. The delivery trucks can't get one way or the other because of the high avalanche danger. We've had more snow in Snoqualmie Pass, Stevens, and White Pass apparently this month than they've had in the last 30 years combined.
Oh, wow.
So, which is good. We need it. Mount Rainier this summer, after those 115-degree days, it looked like a big rock instead of this beautiful, beautiful white cap, glacier-covered peak. It just looked like a big white rock, a big brown rock. So we really need this stuff.
Yeah.
I am going.
It's good. I'm glad you're getting it.
Yeah. Jana says, I always admired Betty because of her love for animals. She cared so much. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. She was a delight all the way around. Everybody who worked with her loved her. She was Johnny Carson once introduced her as, I don't know whether to introduce you as Mother Teresa or a call girl. Because she could like segue between this, this saintly thing and this ribald, raunchy lady. And you never knew for sure what you were going to get, but you always loved whatever it was that whatever you got with her. So
my grandmother acted with her. I think on the stage. I don't know what it was for, but she just said that she was this incredibly nice person.
Yes.
It's like everything you heard about her was true.
Yes. When you meet people, pretty quickly if, with DeForest Kelley, it was like salt of the earth. Boom. I knew right away, even though I'd seen him as this badass cowboy for many years before Star Trek, where he was a really good bad guy. The minute I met him, I know, oh my gosh, I don't know how you even were able to be a bad guy, because he was so gentle and so just really, he was an amazingly wonderful person, like Betty, and it was hard to imagine him, but he grew up as the son of a Baptist minister, and his father really wanted him to go into the ministry. His uncle was a doctor and wanted him to go be a doctor. Dee wanted to be a cowboy as a young boy, and he said, well, I got to be a doctor and a cowboy. And I always said he had a ministry. It was us, because he was just so wonderful with everybody. Whenever he looked at you, you could see that you were beloved. You know, he loved you unconditionally. He was really wonderful. And Betty was like that. I mean, the small amount of time I was with her, I could just tell that's where her heart was. So not just for animals, for people too. So And I see someone here put Ice Falcon with a arrow to the left. I don't know what that means, so please let us know what that means. We have 3 people from NDB Media right now, actually 4, but from 2 different NDB Media. Please let me know who you are and why you decided to come see us tonight. Did Roger tell you about us, or did you check in on an earlier test? This is a test tonight. The actual show doesn't start, the actual podcast doesn't start until January 15th at 10:30 in the morning and on Pacific time. And it will happen every other Saturday thereafter for as long as there's interest and interaction from people. So I just told him I know I know you cannot see it. Oh, okay, I got you. Ice Falcon is Casey Shapiro. I got that. Okay. So, do you have any other insights to share, Hannah, from your week or anything that's been going on that you want to chat about, or questions about the D book or anything at all?
Do you have a favorite memory of Betty White?
The only one I have that's personal was when we did the Actors and Others for Animals benefit, and I sat with her for a few minutes and talked about critters with her. Unfortunately, I don't remember any sentences we said, just the feeling I got from her. And the thing, I always loved her on the game shows. She was just extremely, extremely funny. She was always herself. That was the thing I saw. Whenever I saw her doing an interview or an appearance or a game show, that's the Betty I knew when I met her. She was really herself. There was no airs about her. And that's what I liked about her. You knew where you stood with her, and there were no surprises. A lot of times you'll meet somebody and you go, uh-oh, I almost wish I had met them because they don't live up to, what you think they will. But then, with Dee and Betty White and the some of the ones I met, it was like, yeah, they did. They lived up, which is kind of hard to do because we tend to put people on pedestals.
Yeah.
And when they live up to it, that's pretty huge. So, Ice Falcon said, I'm trying to click on this thing. Match game is how I first learned of Betty. I was never so blessed as to get to meet her. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, Ice Falcon, where are you from? And what's your weather like?
That's an awesome name, by the way.
It is. I like that.
I really like that.
Is that because of your beautiful hair color? You look like an ice maiden in the photo. Ice Falcon. I like that. And I love Cookie Sword, too. Cookie Sword. Washington, D.C. I can't say it. Washington, D.C., and it just started snowing. Are you supposed to get a lot of it? We're going to get 2 to 4 inches of rain. We're going to have some flooding around here. Not right in front of my, my place, but we do have a wetlands area between my home and the next one, and it's always got, just about this time of year, has always got a river flowing through it. It's part of the goat pasture during the summer. But right now the goats are like, no, I'm not going over there. And goats hate the rain anyway. They are staying inside the shed going, oh, no, it's raining. So, yeah.
I love it when it rains because, you can just stay inside, look out, at the beautiful water falling from the sky.
Yeah,
you can stay in your pajamas.
I love the sound of it, too. I love the sound of rain. My serval loved the sound of rain. And I think because a serval is a wildcat from Africa, by the way, for those of you who don't know. He also loved the sound of fireworks. And I think it's because in Africa, when the thunderstorms come, that's the beginning of the rainy season, and they can begin to smell the prey, because when it's dry, you can't smell as well, and they can't scent where the food is. And it's like, whoa, it's time for me to eat. I can find food again. Jano, you're absolutely right. Somebody said she said her final word would be Alan. And I'm not sure if it was, but if she was awake and didn't, pass away while she was asleep, she probably said Alan, because that's what she said she would do. Yeah. Ice Falcon says they're depending on where, they are expecting 3 to 5 inches of snow. Wow. Well, thank you for joining us. This is awesome. I'm glad you did. I'm clicking on these comments because I'm getting some comments in here now. It was Alan as her assistant. Yes, as her assistant told the media she did it. All right. That's great. That is wonderful. So there's one person on my Facebook page. I wish you would come over too. I'm going to go get this banner again. Those of you on my Facebook page, I hope you'll come to this one because that way we can interact and you can type in comments and I'll see them right away. Because otherwise I can't see you. So if you do that, that would be great. I guess I'll tell you a little bit about what I've been doing this week. We didn't have Christmas because we were all iced in. So we had a late Christmas on Tuesday. But 2 of the people who were supposed to come couldn't get out. One didn't feel very well and the other one was iced in. So yesterday Lisa and I went to Yelm. We drove to Yelm to take presents to Edward, who couldn't be with us, and spend like 3 hours with him. And then this morning, I took a friend down to the Puyallup Fairgrounds because he needed to get a COVID test. Before they'll let him go back to work, he needed to get a negative COVID test. And Uber was not cooperating. So I told him I'd take him, and I thought, oh boy, it's going to be a 4-hour wait. But we got there first thing. We got there a half hour early, and we were first in line. So it took us like 15 minutes after it opened. We were out of there really, really fast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My aunt is in line to get a COVID test. She texted my mom about an hour ago saying that there was about 100 cars there.
Oh my gosh.
She's probably still there.
I wouldn't be at all surprised. Ice Falcon says I do the Walking Dead show on Sunday nights and the Rock and Roll Shrink every other Wednesday. Put up your URLs for those. I would love to let people know. Yes, please do. Roger has a number of, he has a sports show. He has a Tax Jedi show. If you go to the NDB media page that I gave you, those different shows will pop up there. So, and Hannah, you said you were thinking about getting back into action on one of your podcasts.
Yeah. It's called The Ups and Downs of Paul and Tom. It's a comedy podcast about these 2 kids facing growing up.
Uh-huh.
I'm hoping to be able to record with my good friend soon. So,
All right. Be sure and announce that with an URL so we know where to go when that goes live again.
Will do.
Okay, they're on the Blog Talk Radio shows. So the show URLs changed, but I can give you the Facebook pages for each. That would be great. Do that. Go ahead and do that. And I'll pop them up here. I'm going to run over to the Facebook page and see what's happening there, Hannah.
Alrighty.
Can you visit for a minute with folks? Can you think of something to chat about for like 40 seconds?
Sure.
All righty.
So I guess we're going back into Betty White. The one thing that I will always remember was around the time of Area 51. That whole raid that they were going to do. She posted a thing on, I think it was Snapchat, where she said, "You can't kill the undying. Count me in, Area 51." And that just stuck with me because she knew the memes that the entire country was making and she embraced them. She became a part of it. Whereas a lot of other people would just be like, no, I'm not going to be involved with this at all. It's annoying. So I just thought that was, very cool. Very cool that someone would do that. Kind of like how Bernie Sanders embraced the memes from the inauguration last year.
Right.
Does anyone remember those with the mittens? He's just in the chair.
For Christmas this year, I got a keychain that's got Bernie in his mittens. Yeah. Yep. I thought that was just absolutely fabulous. And the gal who did those, wow. He kind of gave her a boost, for her business too. Yeah,
definitely.
Owner, isn't that great? The man is a full meal deal. He really does whatever he can give us a boost.
Definitely.
And here's another one. These are long Earls, so I'm going to leave them up for a little bit for those of you who want to go over there and engage in that way. So you have time to write them down. I have something from Jano coming in, but I'm going to wait on this URL for a minute so people have time to write it down. Jano says, just really cold in Chicago, but we're used to it. It builds character or something. My mom was in Chicago on apparently one of the absolute coldest years in a century when she was there. And she said, people always said, you be careful, you go outside. And she said, yeah, well, she's pretty used to, Cleellum in the winter when it's minus 30. And she thought, okay. She did bundle up and she just walked across the street. And she said, I thought I was going to die before I got to the other side and in the building. I had never, ever been so cold in my life. And she said, I thought I was going to die before I got across the street. So I know how cold it can get there in Chicago. And I have relatives who lived in Chicago for a time too. It's right there by a big lake. And boy, howdy, when that thing freezes over, you're living in an ice rink with winds from the Arctic coming in. So, yeah.
And to think now with global warming, it's going to be warmer, but it's still freezing. Imagine what it was like before.
Yes. It depends on where you at as to what's happening with your weather differently. Because right now we have more snow on our passes than we've had in 30 years in the last month. And yet this summer it was 115 degrees, which is unheard of up here. So it's just insane. We've got tornadoes happening where they never happened before. We had a tornado here less than 5 miles away. We've never had tornadoes here. But yeah, tornado alleys are popping up all across the Midwest now where they weren't before.
We had a tornado over here in October, I think it was.
Wow.
We don't get tornadoes around here.
Right.
It missed my house by about a quarter of a mile.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we were very, very lucky.
Yeah. In Tornado Alley, they know they've built underground places to go and hide, but the places, we don't have places like that around here.
No.
The best we got is a deep ditch maybe and hope for the best,
Exactly. Yeah, we've never had to worry about stuff like that,
right.
So we haven't.
Right. Right. Well, that's not very uplifting. But it is life. And we're all alive. We're all still getting going there. So, yeah. I'm going to check and see. We got 4 people on NDB Media, 1 on my Facebook page. And I'm just... Jano says you can have our tornadoes. We have a tornado alley in Plainfield. Further toward. Oh no. No. I don't want your tornadoes. I don't even want.
No thanks.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of some more. Let's see if I've got some. The 30th anniversary of DeForest Kelley getting a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame was just like about a week and a half ago. December 18th. Am I getting that wrong? December 16th. December 18th.
No, I think it was the 18th.
I think so too. Anyhow, on my blog, you know what I could do? I could point you to my blog. On my blog, I did a excerpt from my book about what that day was like. And so if you want to go there, you can go right there, wordwhisperer.net, and go to December 18th and take a look at that. It was really cool because Dee was a shy guy, and his star was located above this new multiplex theater, and there was a big elevator going up to the higher theaters, and they had him come down the elevator almost like beaming down from the Starship Enterprise. The name of the theater was the Galaxy. So it was like he was beaming down from the Galaxy as he came down this elevator toward the crowd where he was going to get his star on the Walk of Fame. And he said, I threw the Vulcan salute, and I just kept de-escalating and de-escalating. Said I didn't know anything else to do. I mean, it was a long ride. If you said I felt like a Sigfield girl with nothing to do. And he got up on he bounded up onto the platform, which was like about 2 feet high. And Johnny Grant, who was the MC there, said, "My God, you're nimble," because he was 72 or 73 at the time.
Yeah.
Jumped right up there, and Johnny Grant was like, "Whoa!" And the only person who wasn't there to honor him was William Shatner. He was in the Philippines. He said he was trying to get him a coconut, but everybody else was there. And I have the whole story on my blog post and in my book, in one of my books about it. At the Paramount reception later, we went to this reception and we sat down at tables kind of across the way from where Dee and Carolyn were at AC Lyle's. And as the event wore down, Dee came heading in our direction, but my back was to him. I didn't know he was there, but I could tell by what the other gals were doing and what they were observing that he was getting close, that he was really, really getting close, because they were getting kind of like red-faced and, like, "Oh, here he comes, that kind of a thing." And all of a sudden I felt these warm hands on my shoulders. It's just like a dad would do, to a kid. And he just rubbed my shoulders and came over to thank us for attending and kissed each of the ladies' hands. And it was just magical. And he wrote a really, really nice, you know what? I could show you that actually. He wrote a really nice picture. Here's him getting his star on the Walk of Fame. Let's see if I can make this happen for you. This is not going to be easy. Anyhow, it says, "Thank you for being there on our big day." He wrote, "Thank you for being there," and Carolyn wrote, "On our big day." Carolyn, I don't know if you can see that or not. And let's see, what am I doing here? Okay. Here's another one he sent me.
I love that smile.
Isn't that great? I love the way he wrote. And here's some pictures of him up at Shambhala. Well, here's a picture that was taken in my backyard of Dee and Carolyn, and down here is them at Shambhala. This is not working very well. There we are. There's him with Chippy Hedren. Okay, let's make this happen. They're kind of floating around in the sky there. There you go. Anyhow. Okay. So that little memory is there if you want to go check that out. Do we have some more comments? We have a private chat. That's from you. I have something.
Yeah, that was the link to the other podcast. I don't think I can make a comment other than that.
Oh, so you want? Well, okay. Here, let me do this. Copy. That's your upcoming show.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to put that right here. And no, that's not where I'm going to put that. I'm learning, folks. This is a test. This is only a test.
Happens to the best of us. Take your time.
There we go. It's just essence. Okay, so I did it. So show it. There we go. So that's going to be Hannah's when we get going live, when they get going live again. And we will announce that too at some point. So not getting any comments in here, so we're winging it until we hear something from somebody. Amy won't be able to come. She's in the middle of something, so hopefully she'll join us next week. Now we got some more comments. Jana says, "I remember the first Star Trek convention in Chicago, and the entire cast was there. I was front row setter, so got some great photos, especially of Dee. Do you have them? Can you share them with us?" Yes, we would love that. And Ice Falcon says, it's okay. My very first show was supposed to be a dress rehearsal, and Roger said he was archiving, keeping it with no warning. Yeah, well, mine are out there too. So it's like, okay, well, everybody gets to watch us learn, which is what we're doing tonight. So
This is basically a dress rehearsal.
it is. This is
And
my
I can tell you from experience, they're always chaotic.
Yes, good. Well, this is my new bike riding shirt, so I don't get hit by a vehicle. I got this from Ben Taylor, and Lisa got one too, so we can ride while looking like beacons. We got lots of viewers. I just want you all to tell me who you are, where you're from, and anything else you want to tell me, or a question. If you have a question, please go ahead and give us a shout out. And cannot see the shirt. It's a oh well, and then I disappear if I do that. It's a sweatshirt. It's a neon yellow sweatshirt is what it is. So there we go. I just did. You can just describe it. We're crossing messages. Yeah. Oh, that's right. A lot of people who are watching this aren't watching it. They're hearing it. Roger said to be always
really?
right. Roger said to always read what is typed because not everybody is able to watch it. So that's what's going on. I keep forgetting that people can't see it, that everybody isn't like logged on so that they can see it. Lots of viewers. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for coming to our test. We had expected to have more people here tonight to introduce you to as possible co-hosts or guests in the future, but everybody's busy. Poor Roger's working on a disaster recovery thing on COVID, and Amy has something going on tonight. Ross Trowbridge, who was with us last week talking about his burros and his Chincoteague ponies and his wild horses, couldn't join us tonight. He has something that he's got a deadline going on, but he's going to join us one week and bring photos of his critters. So that's going to be great.
That is, I look forward to that so much.
Yeah. So, and that's one of the reasons we brought up Betty White again tonight, because she was such an animal lover. So, and a lot of you weren't on it while we were talking about Betty, but she was a delightful, delightful lady. Ice Falcon. I have Hello Kitty as Luke Skywalker for the TIE Fighter going pew, pew, pew on my shirt. Aww. Okay, now what do I see? In the NDB host page, you can send a little blurb about your Can you send a little blurb about your live upcoming show? I would like to do shout outs. Absolutely. On the NDB host page, I will do that. Yeah. Okay, as soon as I figure out how to do that. Cookie Sword, would you ever want to speak about trans issues? I'm also trans, but much younger, so it's always interesting to hear other perspectives and stories. But of course, only if you'll. Absolutely, I'm up for it. Brian and I had a great conversation this morning about it, because he's known me for years and years, and he had some questions he wanted me to answer. I will answer any question you want answered. Absolutely, I would love to. So that's another possibility. That's why I only have 3 segments, because I say whatever else, once we get through with our 3 segments, it's open to whatever you want to talk about that you know about, that you know that I know something about. And I have lots and lots of books. I suppose I had to put that up so you can see the books I've written, because that will let you know the topics I'm most expert on. A lot of people probably didn't know that I'm trans. Well, I got he and him up here, but I've written a book about my transgender journey, and let me see. I'm trying to find did I not even? Well, anyhow, my book website is yellowballoonpublications.com. Yellowballoonpublications.com, and strangely enough, I was sure I had it. Oh, let me see if it's under brand. I'm learning. You can find any of my books at Amazon. This is my, I'm going to do an overlay here. This is my transgender journey. Oh, I guess I got to put cookie sort away or you won't be able to see the book. I'm learning. Okay. Anyhow, it's called Womb Man, How I Survived Growing Up in a Booby-Trapped World. And that's the cover of it. Lisa, my friend, Lisa is the one who did the cover for it. I absolutely love this cover.
It's a very good cover, yeah.
Yeah. And we got a fantastic, in regard to something, maybe the trans issue thing. Tell us about the books. Okay. Yellowballoonpublications.com is where you can go to find out about my books, read some excerpts from the books, and then you go to Amazon to get them. Yellowballoonpublications.com, and my Amazon Central page is right here. And that's got all of my books. I've written books on animals. I've written books on self-help, on I've written a book called Yay Sayers for teenagers about listening to the yay sayers in your life instead of the naysayers in your life. If you go there, you'll see all the different ones. I've written quite a number on DeForest Kelley because that is the one that people wanted more and more and more and more. I planned to write only one book, but then people were coming up with more questions and comments, and all of a sudden they felt, some of the people who didn't even know Dee before fell totally in love with him and said, I just want to know everything any interaction you ever had with him. So I ended up doing a whole series, a 6-volume series of all of the phone calls that we shared, because I'm a journalist, and every time they would call, I would, quickly jot down what it was we talked about. So I have a 6-volume set of that. And that 6-volume set also has a few of the other interactions that we had that didn't make it into the other book. Because sometimes I just mentioned about, we did this day, but I didn't say everything we did. And since people were so interested in everything, every interaction I ever had with Dee, I just decided to put the rest of the event into the Kelley phone tag book.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. I will show you. This is the cover of my first book, DeForest Kelley, Up Close and Personal, A Harvest of Memories from the Fan Who Knew Him Best. I also wrote one called, actually, all I did was introduce one called The Enduring Legacy of DeForest Kelley, Actor, Healer, Friend, because after I wrote my book, there were a number of fans who told me their stories of meeting Dee and how wonderful he was to them. And I thought, I'm going to get a compilation of other fans because I wanted people to realize he wasn't just being great to me. He was being great to everybody. He was helping everybody pretty much he ever met. And so I compiled a bunch of their stories, and I edited for them and did introductions to each of the Actor, Healer, and Friend series. But that's what that one is. And then this is the one Hannah's going through right now. Kelley phone tag is like telephone tag. You like that? Kelley phone tag. The rest of the story, everything that didn't make it into the other books, made it into these 6 volumes. But my other books are Yay Sayers, The Good Guys. That's the one I wrote to teenagers to encourage you to listen to the Yay Sayers in your life. I wrote a self-help book called Settle for Best, Satisfy the Winner You Were Born to Be. This is for people who are haven't been able to land a job, or they feel like they have their career ladder leaning up against the wrong wall and they want to do something else. Either they're underemployed or unhappily employed. It's very loosely based on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. I riffed on each of the things he said that successful people do. I did 22 chapters on the 22 things all successful people have in common and that they do in order to be successful. And so that's what that book is all about. This book, Become Shamelessly, Fearlessly You, How to Stop Hiding in Plain Sight, is basically a way to get over any shame you feel. I mean, a lot of people are hiding in plain sight because, oh my gosh, if anybody ever found out that, for example, I'm trans, no one would ever talk to me again. Everybody would think terrible things. No, they won't. No, they won't. No, they won't. I mean, I was scared too. But when I finally came out, I realized how much support there is out there. Everybody's different. Not everybody's going to get a great reaction. So I would never say you must come out, you must do these things, you must be transparent. But the moment I did, my life was renewed. I could live my truth, and nobody, and I felt like I was 8 years old again instead of carrying a burden with me. So because I found out there were other trans people in the world, there were people who supportive of that, people who wanted to know more, try to understand, found out they had kids who were trans and they needed some help and support. So my womb man is actually used by doctors and counselors to help families navigate that journey, so that the child is loved and not, an awful lot of trans kids who aren't supported end up committing suicide. And that is just
terrible.
Totally tragic. The other thing that I wanted to specify is of the LGBTQ, rainbow thing, the only thing that isn't sexual orientation is T and I, transgender and intersex. They aren't sexual orientations at all. They are gender orientations. And the difference between that is sexual orientation is who you want to go to bed with. Gender orientation is who you want to go to bed as. Okay? And with intersex what used to be called hermaphrodites, people born with ambiguous genitalia. They're not sure if they're male or female. They have the genitalia of both to a greater or lesser degree. And in most cases, at least when I was coming up 70 years ago, in most cases, anybody with intersex conditions were changed to a girl because it was easier to do that. It was easy to do it when they were infants. And the thought back then was, just do the surgery while they're little. They'll never know. Even though they have the surgery and raise her as a girl, she'll never know. I mean, she'll be a girl, because they thought nature and nurture. If you nurture her as a girl, she will be a girl. Unfortunately, that's not true, because our brains are what tell us what we are. Our brains decide who we are. And so a lot of people who are born intersex were changed to a binary that they don't resonate with. And that can cause all kinds of problems. So I could have been born intersex. I may not be transgender, meaning I may have had both, and then part of it was taken away. So a lot of people who are transgender may have had that happen, because often back then they didn't even tell the parents. They didn't want to throw the parents for a loop. They just said, well, look, don't tell anybody. Just, they kept the mother in the hospital for 4 or 5 days while the healing took place, and then sent them home and, said, you have a little girl, and no, you had an intersex child that they changed to a little girl. So, yeah, it's very, very interesting. I did a lot of research on it, and it's something like 1 in every 2,000 children born has ambiguous genitalia. And that's about as common as red hair. But it's not something to talk about. Unlike red hair, you talk about red hair because there it is. Mm-hmm. People kind of feel, like we have to hide this condition. They considered it a birth defect back then. Right now, a lot of countries don't even allow surgeons to alter the child until they're old enough to decide who they are. And I think that's the wise thing to do. Wait, I know it's hard. You have to give them a kind of a generic name that will work as a boy or as a girl, but you shouldn't be telling an infant what it is before it knows.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yes, I would love to talk about that some more too, for those people who are interested. We could do a whole show on it sometime if we want. Got comments coming in. I'm going to jump over here. Booby trap. Okay. Yeah. I was a little worried about that title if Amazon would allow it, but they did. How I survived growing up in a booby trapped world. I guess they didn't get the double entendre going. Great cover. I don't know which cover I was showing when she did that. Cookie Sword, I'll try to read it soon. One of the books I put out. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not keeping up with everybody. I got off on a tangent there. I did not get to meet Dee either. I did meet the other cast, but I'm so thrilled he was nice. He was such a wonderful person. Oh, all right. That's a fantastic explanation of gender versus sexual orientations. Yeah, a lot of people don't, yeah. I'm old enough to remember that most intersex kids were operated on and forced to be girls. Right. Absolutely. And it happens more often than it should still, because again, the whole idea is if a parent thinks, oh my gosh, we have a birth defect, what can we do to help this child? Well, don't help this child until this child tells you who he or she is, because and there are a lot of people who are intersexes that just don't even mess with me. What I got works just fine, and that's your body. The child should decide what their expression is, and they certainly can't show you when they're breastfeeding and bottle feeding.
Exactly. 100% agree.
Yeah, it doesn't even come into. And the other scary thing that people say is, oh, well, you can't start putting them on hormones or whatever, transition them over. First of all, you aren't even allowed to transition over until you're 18 and of mature enough mind to make that station. They will not give you surgeries until you're 18 and of an adult mind and of technically an adult to make those decisions. But they can give you hormones so that if you're a little girl in a boy's body, that your secondary sex characteristics won't mature, so that when the surgeries come along, they are not the big deal that they would be otherwise, because you're then working with very, very small breasts or very, very small other parts. I don't know what all we can talk about here, so I'm being vague, but you get my idea. So all of the scare about, oh, you're going to change this kid. No, we're just going to decide. We're going to listen and find out who that little person decides they are. And again, a lot of times you also take them to counselors and have it diagnosed. Yes, this person is transgender. Because a lot of little boys like to play in dresses, and that's fine. And a lot of girls like to be cowboys, and that's fine. That doesn't necessarily mean they're intersex, or they were intersex, or that they're transgender. We try to put everybody in blue and pink, and that's kind of silly too. So, you don't decide for your child what they are. You let them figure it out themselves as they grow. But I knew from the time I was little, I was a boy. And I just didn't know there was anybody else like me. And it was a really shameful thing for a long time. So, anywho, we got lots of eyes on us. We got 4 people from NDB Media 5, and 1 from my Facebook page. Those of you who are on my Facebook page, again, I can't get to you. Golden Spike finally made it. All right. Ice Falcon says, we've done an episode on the rock and roll shrink on gender, but we haven't done one focused on trans issues, but we could sometime if you're interested. Absolutely. I'm available. I'd be happy to. Oh, Ross. You know who Golden Spike is? Ross Trowbridge. The fellow with he's really, really busy this evening, or he would be joining us. And hopefully we will get an opportunity to see his burros and his wild horses and his chicken teague pogie and anything else he's got going on over there on that ranch he has in Utah. So I know Mattel is the cause of the pink thing. Until the 1940s, it was Victorian gentleman's color because it was near to purple, the color of royalty. Yeah. Yep. And here we got Cookie Sword. It frustrates me so much when people make the argument that 13, 14-year-olds are transitioning because they aren't. They're being allowed to experiment until they can figure it out. Right. Part of the LGBTQ is questioning or queer. I don't know what I am. Questioning, a lot of people grow up very sure of what their gender is. Absolutely certain. I am a little girl. I am such a little girl, or I am a boy. But there are a lot of people who are. Oh, and here's an interesting thing. I have a friend who is an X-ray technician She said, you would be amazed at the number of men with ovaries and the number of women with prostates. I said, do you tell them? She goes, no, we're not allowed to tell them. So those are intersex people. Those are intersex people who have had something done or nothing done, but they are presenting as male, but they have ovaries, or they're presenting as female and they have prostates. So she said, it is not terribly uncommon. It's just not spoken about very much.
Oh,
and I said, gosh, it would seem to me that would be almost a dereliction of duty not to tell them, because
I know
issues or prostate issues, I mean, and not know.
I want to know what the thought is behind that. Why aren't they allowed to tell them?
I don't know.
I don't know how to justify that.
I don't know if it's just the technicians can't tell, or if the doctors are the ones to tell, or if the doctors don't say anything at all. I have no idea. But to me, I would like to know, because if you have other parts that you need checked, I mean, men get prostate exams. And if you're a female with a prostate, or an intersex person with a prostate, you probably should get the same tests.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Ice Falcon says it's 2022. We should encourage the text to be honest. I agree. I imagine it would throw a lot of people for an absolute loop. You know, like people doing the ancestry DNA, you know, these racists who find out that they're related to, you know, people of color. It might throw you for a big loop. But hey, you know what? That's how we learn, and that's how we come to realize we're all the human race. The human race, yeah. So, yeah. Well, we have been here almost an hour. And if we still have 7 people hanging with us. Are there any comments, or do you want to say bye-bye? Leave it up to the viewers. Does anybody have any questions, comments? You want to just go bye-bye? And we'll play it by ear here for the next few minutes.
Let us know what you want to do.
Let us know what you want to do. I agree. It maybe ought to be a trained person to break it to them, but I don't like them withholding it for the reasons you said. Absolutely. I totally agree. You need to know about what your body has and what it's doing, and the potential for, you know, some misfirings, because, you know, women have, later on, sometimes have incontinence issues and stuff like that. Well, maybe some of them have prostate issues. You know, an inability to urinate might be prostate more than maybe a kidney going bad on you. So, yeah. My next show, do you think we need another test, Hannah, next Thursday night, or do you think we should wait and go live on, what do you want to do?
This is your show, so I'm going to leave that up to you.
Do you want to do another test next Thursday? Are you guys up for another test? Or do you want to just join us on Saturday morning, January 15th at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time? It says, I seem pretty comfortable in the big chair. Okay, well, that's all righty. Okay.
Are you comfortable in the big chair?
I guess I'm pretty comfortable in the big chair. Yeah, you look very comfortable in the big chair. You've been doing this a while, and this is outside my comfort zone. But I have noticed that I enjoy Zooming. I don't like talking on the phone. I'm nervous in front of a crowd for a few minutes. But this feels like a visit. This feels like a one-on-one visit. And I'd like to see more people, you know, interacting, because this is really fun.
Yeah, this definitely is different than theater, because with theater, you know what you're doing, you know the story, you know your cues, and you literally just go on autopilot.
Exactly. Yeah, I've done plays. Yeah. I think you just went mute on yourself.
Did I?
Yeah, the last part of what you said. The last part of what you said, I saw your mouth moving and nothing else.
Oh, my camera's been kind of acting up. It's been a little behind.
Oh, okay.
It might have been that. Was the last thing you heard that you go on autopilot?
Yes.
Yeah, that was the last thing I said.
Okay. Yeah, I've been in plays, and you know what you know what's happening, and with this you don't, especially when you're interacting with an audience. You don't know what's going to come up, but it's always usually really, really interesting.
Yeah, there are shows where you do interact with the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the one that I think you would really like is called The Mystery of Edwin Drood. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not, but I'll look it up.
So it was a book that Charles Dickens was writing about this whole murder mystery, and he had left different clues for like 6 different people, but he died before he could finish it.
Oh.
So they took that, made it into a musical, and the audience actually gets to vote on who they think the murderer is.
Oh wow, that's cool.
It's a really fun show. My sister was in it a few years ago. I was in the booth doing the spotlight, and it actually broke one night.
Oh my.
I remember going backstage to tell the director, and he just went up in a panic.
Yeah.
At least it was the last show, so.
Yeah. Wow. Run out there with a flashlight.
Well, I mean, there were other lights. There was a different lighting guy, so he was working on a bunch of stuff to try to keep it going.
Uh-huh.
So I told the director, then he started to calm down.
Okay. Well, okay, Hannah, are you up for one more test? It looks like Cookie Sword said another test would be fun, although not sure I'd be able to make it because of the time zones. We could do it earlier, too, if you want. We could probably do it at 6 instead of 7.
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, let's do one more next week, and we'll make it at 6. And see if more people show up, too.
Definitely,
because I know Tammy's way back on the East Coast. You're way back on the East Coast. A number of people are that's bad. That's the nice thing about Saturday morning. It's going to be much more easy to get to than this time of night. Because I tell you what, this time of night I start shutting down. I start like my eyes start going to half mast, especially not in the summertime because it stays light until 10 o'clock at night in the summertime. But this time of year, as soon as the light goes out in the sky, I do this bear thing and my eyes get tired and I'm ready to, fall into bed. So Golden Spike is Rocky Mountains. Yeah, I know that. Russ is in Utah. I will post a notice the day before. And Travel Itch Radio is on Thursday night, so people may be confused. Okay. I will post it. What? Be sure and befriend me on my Facebook page so that you're following my notices, because I do post the day before on my Facebook page. What light? Jana, what light? I think they were talking about the spotlight from your
Yeah, there was a big musical number where they needed a bunch of spotlights on different people at different times, and it just went, so they had no spotlight for that number.
Wow.
And that was one of my sisters. My sister was involved with that number too, so I felt bad for her.
Yeah. Okay, so is your show 10:30 your time or Chicago? My time, Pacific time. It'll starting January 15th. It'll be every other Saturday after the 15th. So what's that? 12:30 your time in Chicago? Is that 2 hours difference? Are you 2 hours away from Los Angeles?
Well, for me, it's 1:30, so I think it's about 12:30 in Chicago.
Okay. Oh, no, Jana was saying, no sunlight this time of year. There we go. Yeah, did you hear when Dee was doing trying to save Chancellor Gorkon on the operating table after he was shot in the movie? He was up above him trying to save him. The light above them exploded, and this huge shard of glass came down and all right past Dee's shoulder and right next to Christopher Plummer's head. And I mean, it could have killed them both. And yeah, it was pretty scary. So undiscovered country. Yep. So okay. Well, I guess yes.
There's no such thing as a perfect performance. So
that's right. Boy, I tell you what. I remember one time I was in a play called The Wall to Wall War. And at one point, one of the male actors was supposed to grab this other male actor's tie and pull him toward him. Well, unfortunately, the guy who was wearing the tie forgot and put on a clip on. And the
That's
guy grabbed his
awesome.
tie and pulled it off. And it was like, oh my gosh. Of course, they recovered really fast and he grabbed his shirt. But it was like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
In 2014, I was in Titanic the musical, and it's not Jack and Rose or anything, it's the actual story of the Titanic.
Uh-huh.
And during the first act, someone was singing, and in the middle of their thing, they just collapsed. They just fainted.
Oh no.
We had to stop the show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then the next night, right before, it's like 4 minutes before the end of the first act, which is when the ship hits the iceberg, someone else passed out.
Oh my gosh. Was it hot?
Well, we had this huge platform on the stage, and, you know, to show the bridge of the ship, and it was really cool because throughout the second act, it would slowly tilt. You know, so you got that angle. But yeah, they were really close to the stage lights, which are incredibly hot themselves for anyone who doesn't know. And they had to wear this thick wool coat for their costume. So they just went down.
Wow.
Then another performance, the lights went out, and we were all saying backstage that the ghosts from the Titanic were just not happy with us, with our portrayal of these people.
Right. Yeah.
We had one show that went okay. The rest of them had something happen.
Wow. Ice Falcon is saying, oh, Kris, before we go, how do you know Bennett Pomerantz? I was staking your profile looking for your page. I'm not sure. I think Bennett came to me as a Star Trek fan or a DeForest Kelley fan. I can't remember, unfortunately. I have a lot of people on my Facebook page that I have not met or even interacted with, but I usually, if I see they're a Star Trek fan, I will go ahead and, why? Do you know? Do you know Bennett Pomerantz? I want to know why you want to know that. Because you can tell me more. And Ross says, in high school, I played Edward Rochester in Jane Eyre. At the end, I get blinded. One performance, I did such a good job of playing blind, I knocked a chair over. All right.
That's great.
Did you guys hear the Toby Jack Saunders thing where Dee was going to draw his gun against Henry Fonda? Yes. Okay.
Yes. The Princess of Greece.
Yes. I will tell that story at another time. If somebody else hasn't heard it, you can remind me of it. But I think we're done for this time, and we will do it next Thursday at 6. Does that work for you, Hannah?
That works for me.
Or 9 for you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will. I can't even schedule it until tomorrow, but I'll schedule it tomorrow, and I'll have it the information on my Facebook page. I want to thank all of you for being here. Ice Falcon has known him since 1985. We can discuss later. All right. Bennett Pomerantz. Thank you, everybody. This has been wonderful. Jano, Golden Spike, Ice Falcon, Hannah, thank you. As always, you have fabulous. All of you people on my Facebook page, Edward, I'm sure Mark Polino's over there. Just Cookie Sword, thank you. I think I've named everybody, but I could be wrong. So we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll see you next week. Thank you a lot.
Good night, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I'll talk to you for a minute after.